Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 24 career mode. This is episode number 43 today for the Imola GP. Last time out, well, it was a bit devastating, wasn't it? At the Japanese Grand Prix, we do have a secret meeting off the back of Japan, and maybe you can put two and two together of why there is a secret meeting. Things were going okay, clearly maybe a bit on the back foot around Suzuka, but ultimately a one-off helmet design, not a livery design, but helmet design, ultimately, once again in Formula 1, proved to be an unlucky omen because we end that race on the grass with the engine getting absolutely cooked with fumes coming out the back of it, and maybe that is why there is a team wanting to speak with us in secret. Maybe they already see an opening that maybe mentally we already want out of Mercedes. I mean, to be fair, I rate it. The cheek of this team, whoever they are, to come in for a secret meeting straight after a race like that. Fair play. You've got to commend their strategies at play, to be honest. And as we go into this said secret meeting, it's maybe no surprise seeing what team it is. It is Aston Martin. Of course, Lawrence Stroll has been cheeky enough to approach a driver as soon as he gets an engine failure, maybe seeking, that he might be, able to turn his head at that immediate point in time directly after an engine failure. Of course, Aston Martin were our championship rivals last season in Season 2. Fernando Alonso went up against us last season. We obviously won our first championship versus him, so interesting that this team is now coming to us to maybe ask about our services. It's very early in the season. We've only had 2 rounds, for goodness sake, but at this very early stage, with the engine failure, to be honest, Lawrence Stroll's psychological tactics might be working here, because I thought, okay, I'll entertain the talks just to see what's what, keep our options open, you never know, but it's so early in the season that it's really just, it's a little bit of playing around with Aston Martin, because I'm not really thinking about next season at the moment at all, really, and that is also why, one DNF here, it's nothing to panic about. I'm not panicked. It's time to just reset and go again as we go towards the start of some European races. Unfortunately, I'm not at a stage to actually purchase anything because I can't afford any of the upgrades that are available, and most of them are unavailable because Russell still holds most of the recognition, even though I am a reigning champion in this alternate F1 timeline. Make it make sense. But anyway, we go into the start of the European phase of the season with some big movements for actually a lot of the second half of the table, you must say. Haas, Williams, Toyota, Audi, and even High-Tech making upgrades, but High-Tech getting left behind a little bit, bless them. But Audi, Toyota, Williams, and Haas all making huge strides where now they're actually maybe only one other major upgrade away from being where we are in the R&D chart. So 2026 here in the game proving to be one where it's open game, everyone is finding massive gains. We're left behind a little bit technically on paper as Ferrari upgraded a higher rate than us to get closer to Aston Martin. It's still McLaren and Red Bull at the top technically, but we have seen in reality we actually have some decent race pace. And of course in Season 3 the R&D chart so zoomed in, so the differences between these teams is actually not as much as it maybe looks on the chart. And of course things like the tyre wear, which is new in this season in Season 2 compared to the base game in Season 1, might be affecting things team to team as well. With that, let's go into qualifying.
Welcome along everybody to Imola, just down the road from Ferrari HQ, and they know a thing or two about pace, and pace today is king. It's qualifying day, and it's great to have you with us.
So like I said earlier, just looking to completely reset and just put the engine failure behind us. Toto Wolff coming over here, I'm sure, to just chuckle away at an anecdote as we go into the Imola Grand Prix and the qualifying session here. Of course, like I said last episode, we are now doing short qualifying because it literally is necessary with the improved racing mod that I have to sit and watch all the AI do their actual qualifying laps. So in order just not to waste my time and your time with filler in the video, we're doing short qualifying just because the mod just works like that. It doesn't work with simulated qualifying time. So we're now on our first flying lap here, trying to wrestle the car through, and wrestling is the right word because, to be honest, we had this in Japan a little bit. Since Australia, I felt very comfy in Australia, but Japan, the car felt a little stiff, and here again, the Merc is feeling a bit stiffer than it did in Australia. I felt so confident in Australia. If you go go back and watch that video, chucking the car around with such confidence in the front end, whereas here, finding it difficult to really know if it's going to bite in. So, you know, we've had this in the past in Formula 1. Mercedes cars tend to sometimes be, you know, divas of Formula 1 cars. They can never make one that just works out the box sometimes. You know, we've had that before in 2017 where the rhetoric was all about trying to tame that diva of a 2017 Mercedes. And you got to say, in the ground effect era we're currently in, Mercedes have very much had a diva on their hands up until maybe this season where they've started to click a little bit. So I'm feeling that myself here in the game where I felt comfy in Australia. We've come to two different other circuits and it's maybe not this same exact feeling. So let's see. Right now, the first qualifying lap was decent. Third place behind Leclerc, Verstappen, ahead of Stroll and Sainz. Stroll surprisingly up there as we're currently on our out lap with just over a minute left of this session. We've got a bit of traffic, Leclerc ahead of us, so I want to slow up, but Albon was right behind me, so having to do a little bit of traffic control, let Albon through, let Piastri through, and I was looking to let Verstappen through because there's a good pocket of air there where I thought I wouldn't catch Verstappen, but then Verstappen slows up, Stroll catches us, and it's a whole ass mess. The man on provisional pole is playing a weird game of chicken with me. I thought I'd let him by, and the logic was I'm not going to catch him on the qualifying lap, so I'll let him by, but not Stroll, and then do my lap. Instead, for the second time this season, a Red Bull is racing me on the qualifying lap. It was Hamilton in Australia, now it's Verstappen here in Imola. Oh, and it's all boiled over as Verstappen's hit us, and we've been sent into the wall. That's qualifying over. Absurd. From Red Bulls this season. What is there? Honestly, there's something with Merc v Red Bull. I've stepped into the Merc and immediately I've got scraps with the Red Bulls like I've never had before. This was just too much though. Australia was one thing where Hamilton ruined my lap, and now here, Verstappen, his teammate now here in Season 3, has turned into me. You can see a lovely shot on board from Lance Stroll where, yes, the gap is closing, but he literally turns the steering wheel left. I know I was squeezing him out. That's the whole point. I was on a quali lap. I was ahead of him. Why is he trying to overtake me? Just get squeezed out and accept it, man. Instead, he decided to turn in, and that is our qualifying over. Verstappen's qualifying over, I think, because he had wing damage. And in the end, nothing changes, to be fair, so no harm done, I guess. But obviously, I'm going to remember that come the race time in terms of maybe aggressive move or two at the start of the race. Leclerc, second place then at Ferrari's first of two home races. Ferrari generally looking a bit better than they were in the opening round, you got to say. Aston Martin bouncing back a bit after a quiet Suzuka. Alonso and Stroll right up there. Russell, what's going on there? P10, horrible qualifying behind a Williams of Albon there. Russell really needs to pull up his socks this season. Don't know if a reigning champion his team has just spooked him, but yeah, he needs to do better. Hopefully he will in the race. Let's go to the grid.
Hello there and welcome back to Imola. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday and he'll start from pole position. And it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have a Mercedes, Fernando Alonso, Stroll, Norris, Hamilton, Sainz, Albon, Russell, Hülkenberg, Oscar Piastri, Perez, Bottas, Ocon, Joe, Ricciardo, Tsunoda, Behrman, and Logan Sargent. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. And alongside me in the commentary box, my old friend, Anthony Davidson. So we're getting close to the start of the race. What will this driver be experiencing? Big nerves? Big excitement? What?
Always extra nerves at the start of the race, Gruffy. It's probably at the start of the race, it's where your heart rate's at its highest in anticipation. And you've got to be in the right mindset. You've got to be thinking there inside the car, what can go right? How can I be opportunistic rather than what can go wrong? And how do I protect my position? Look forward and stay positive. It's easy to say, very hard to do when you're in that position.
Well, that's exactly what I'll be doing, Anthony Davidson. Looking forward, thinking positive that I can overtake Leclerc and take the fight to Max Verstappen, who has looked so quick you know, in Japan and Australia. Of course, Australia, he got finessed a little bit out of a win that he probably should have had, but in Japan, he dominated that one, and it looked a bit ominous for him, and even Red Bull with consistency from Hamilton as well in these races. So we need to try and think positively that we can take the fight to him, and the same will be said for Leclerc on the front row. He's done very well there, so Ferrari has a good opportunity. We're all on the medium tyres. It is a potential two-stop here today. There is rain forecast for later, so that may change things. That might change my plans from a medium hard to maybe medium to hard, and maybe seeing where the rain comes. Let's just wait until that time comes as we go now to 5 red lights for the start of this race. Lights out and away we go. Verstappen gets a good getaway, but I do as well. Leclerc has had a shocker. The Ferrari down to 3rd place. We're coming across on the right to defend the racing line. Verstappen is pulled away, but we need to be patient and just try and minimize the mistakes that I just made there by dipping a tire into the grass. Let's settle down and get into a rhythm, and that's exactly what we'll do onto lap 3. Myself and Max trading purple lap times, flat out pushing each other to go that much quicker. Can we go for a move on the inside? Verstappen leaves the door open, but he turns in and we bang tyres. Again, he'll leave the room. We'll try and squeeze through. Verstappen on the grass, on the gravel. We're nearly touching again. There's literally a millimetre of paper you could fit between us two on the sidepod to sidepod action there. That was thrilling, but we didn't get the move finished off. Second time is the charm, is it? Is that the saying? No, probably not, but we're going to try it again, and this time really get the elbow out, and this time we do get the position. We get up into 1st place, but Verstappen comes back at us immediately. We turn in and we just hope that he wasn't going to be there. He's not, but he's all over the back of us. That Red Bull, the acceleration is just godly. I mean, to be fair, most of the AI's acceleration is godly now here in Season 3. Verstappen climbs through. He's back into 1st. We're going to outbrake him, though, and come right back at him. This lap 4 is turning into an absolutely iconic battle with Max Verstappen. This is reminding me of the duel we had in Hungary, Season 1. The difference is here, it's not just a one-man show defending. We're genuinely both attacking each other, coming back at each other, and it's a real close encounter, real close fight there. But Verstappen ultimately ends this lap still ahead, doing really well to defend, and he's so determined to maintain the 1st place. But now we go on to a new lap, this straight again for the 3rd time lucky now. This really is the phrase. Can we open DRS and get this move? We're gaining. Verstappen kind of parks it awkwardly. For a second there, I thought I was going to go around the outside. Instead, we go to the inside. Verstappen, though, has absolutely done me with the switch through the chicane there, but we've got the better exit. We used a bit of battery. We turn in again, and again get into 1st place. This time, we're not going to get done up the hill. I make sure of that. We defend the inside, and so we're still in 1st place by the end of lap 5. But now, Verstappen has DRS, and he's going to fly by, and the same is going to be for Leclerc. I'm defenseless. You might be asking, why am I not using battery? Look how much I don't have. I only have 30% battery, and if you haven't noticed this season, it goes down so quickly, and you can't recoup it as much. I'm going to none ERS in slower corners, and it's hardly coming back to us. Alonso flies by. Basically, at this point in the race, I put up a valiant fight against Max. It was real fun, but I kind of just had to accept at this stage, maybe I'm just not that quick right now. I mean, remember, the Merc is technically lower than all these cars on the R&D chart. So that did come into my mind as we see Alonso overtaking Leclerc up for 2nd place. And right now, that Aston Martin Honda secret meeting approach isn't looking too shabby, you know, because, yeah, this Merc is, you know, relatively got slower to the cars around us. I mean, Russell's still floundering. He's now outside the top 10 even. He's done even worse. He's lost a position to Hülkenberg. So, yeah, I just accepted kind of a little bit in that first stint that I was slower at that point. We're going to come in now for an undercut because I think most people will be aiming for lap 11 to 12. If they're doing a two-stop, I know I'm doing one. So we come in to try and get that advantage on the undercut. You're kidding me. How slow was that front right? That felt like an absolute age. Sat there, 4.6 pit stop. Absolutely bloody brilliant. So all the advantage I wanted to get on the undercut, well, most of it's probably been eroded just there. Oh, it kind of feels like this race is unraveling away from us. I mean, we'll keep our head down, but on to lap 12, it doesn't get any better. Yeah, we just get absolutely mothered by Nico Hulkenberg and that DHL Haas car. Flew by us. That wasn't a nice feeling, I can't lie. At this point, I wouldn't have minded an engine failure. At this point, it felt like the race was fully just absolutely washed for us, but we're going to come back and persevere as we go around the inside of Hulkenberg. And also, we are on the hard compound, so it probably took a lap or so for the hards to rubber in a bit and warm up. And also, we are on the hard, so instead of going medium to medium, I've gone to hards because I asked my engineer, and the rain forecast is true. There is rain on the way, so I thought it's going to be better to be on the hards to definitely get to that wet period rather than struggling on another set of medium tyres that are wearing out. And good news, we actually did manage to undercut Leclerc and Alonso. We didn't undercut Verstappen, but we did undercut Leclerc and Alonso, who were obviously both ahead of us. So that's at least a massive positive there, that the pit stop error didn't lose us too much time. And we're going to get another bit of positivity going here, because are you seeing what I'm seeing? Two slow, high-tech GP cars ahead of Max Verstappen, and Verstappen is being held up an absolute treat by Logan Sargent. What a hero he is. Verstappen going for a move, but Sargent's got DRS off his teammate Ollie Behrman, so Behrman helps out Sargent to re-overtake Verstappen. The two high-tech GPs are holding up Verstappen to no end, and all of a sudden we're right underneath him. They're still holding him up. High-Tech, my new favourite team. What a team they are. Especially Sargent, who defends Verstappen again through the left-hander, slows him up so much we just go for the inside line. We catch Verstappen unawares and make the double pass round the outside, slick as you like. That was like beautiful choreography. That was amazing stuff there. What a man, Sargent. What a man. He's still holding up Verstappen. And now, well, look at this. This is going to have a tear in my eye. Ollie Behrman leading this race. We're second. How about this? Throwback to the F2 days, myself and Behrman fighting at the top of Formula 2. We're now fighting for the top two spots here in this race, albeit, of course, Behrman is going to be so much slower in the slowest car on the grid, High-Tech GP, but this is pretty damn cool, and I hope we're going to get to do this again in the future with Behrman in a better car. And of course, shout out to my F1 Manager 24 series, because obviously Behrman was one of my drivers in F1 Manager, and it's cool to see him here in the series as well at the top end here. Both him and Sargent still frustrating Verstappen as we go on to the end of lap 16. Verstappen really needs to get the move on here, but Sargent's been doing so well. Finally though, he gets the move done in a very unorthodox place, I must say. No DRS in that zone. It's a very difficult place to make a pass anyway, because he comes slowly out the chicane. Once Verstappen gets past Sargent, he gets past Behrman, and very quickly, very rapidly onto lap 19. All of that work is undone because Verstappen is going to fly past this. I was actually quite surprised how quick he was there. I thought I could squeeze him out, but I had no time to even shut the door. But look at the chassis. Rain is falling now, so there is going to be a wet period, and this is another opportunity, like the opportunity we took making the undercut call. This is an opportunity to re-overtake Verstappen with some strategy, because on terms of pure pace, Verstappen clearly is the quickest man today. But you can see my engineer talking about, you know, it being a difficult situation. For me, that is an alarm bell to come in. He said he didn't know if the inters or drives would be quicker. For me, that's an indication every time that you now have to come in for intermediate. So again, we try and go for an undercut strategy, and again, now it's the left front tyre. Come on, Merc. What are we doing, people? What are we doing? You've signed the reigning champ, and now you're just fumbling in front of him. Engine failure, second round. 2 mistakes on the pit stops. What are we doing here? What are we doing? Right, another 4.6 stop. Brilliant. Again, though, we probably will still gain enough of an advantage to maybe gain some time. And absolutely, lap 23 on the outlap, I mean, the difference is night and day in terms of grip levels. I have much more grip than the Ferrari, as Oscar Piastri in the other Haas is out of the race. Ocon in the Williams, very easy work on the inside for the final corner, and just the way we threaded that through shows you that, and there you go, DRS disabled. It's definitely time for Intes, but plenty of people are still out there, so I actually think we have a very good chance of actually still undercutting Verstappen despite the pit stop error. But I just want to point out, as we slide our way through this section of the track, I really love, after so many months of this game being out, that the intermediate temperature glitch and problem and broken physics is still there in the game. Really, really fantastic work. Really fantastic. I can't believe that's still there. Just top quality stuff from the game. Love it here. Right, so the tyres are absolutely cooking. They shouldn't be, but they're absolutely cooking. And that's making our grip levels feel a bit weaker, but we're still so much quicker than anyone on the dry tyres. They're still staying out, but some of them will be coming in eventually, trust me. So it's not the fact it's broken like it used to be in Season 1 where no one comes in. They are going to be coming in, but they just take their sweet time because they keep thinking it's still dry enough, and it just wasn't. It was definitely wet enough. To be fair, we made a very bold call because we went so much earlier, but it's worked out for us. Look at this. We've jumped Verstappen now, who finally pits for Intes. Leclerc's in for Intes. Lando and Hamilton, though, they're staying out for another lap, lap 26. So we catch up to our former teammate, really struggling for the grip levels on the slicks, and it's an easy dive bomb and slide up into second place. But our tyres are really hot internally. The tyre wear is going to be quite high, so we're going to have to watch out for that. Verstappen just made quick work of Lando, so the Red Bull may well be on the back of us soon enough with the tyre wear levels we have. Hamilton, lap 29, he's still not pit. The rain, I can tell you though, has actually started to stop. Our engineer has told us it may be dry by the end of the race. So at this point, Hamilton stays out. Verstappen's in! Verstappen comes in. He's gambling that most of us on Inters will come back in for dries. But the thing is, Lando and Hamilton, they've not pitted at all. They're still on the same hards they were. So Lando's going to gain, Hamilton's going to gain, and they've only got 3 laps left of the race. So if I was Hamilton, I wouldn't even bother coming in. Lando's not going to come in probably, but Verstappen's in because he reckons myself, Leclerc, Hulkenberg, all of us on Inters, we're going to be coming in. He's thrown the dice onto softs, but the rest of us, I think, are going to just try and struggle on to the end. Leclerc overtakes Hulkenberg, who, by the way, is still legitimately there in P5. Amazing stuff as we get on towards the last lap of this Grand Prix. Verstappen overtaking Stroll for P11. No points. It's Sainz P10. Bottas in the Audi P9. Russell floundering in P8. We've not even seen him the entire race there. Perez 7. Alonso 6. Take a bow. Nico Hulkenberg in the Haas for being P5. Legitimately, what a great race it is for him today. And it's actually a really good race for my former teammate Lando, who's jumped up positions he wouldn't have got if he hadn't stayed out. But the biggest congratulations has to go to Lewis Hamilton in the Red Bull Ford. Is going to go through to win the Imola Grand Prix. He led by example for Lando, stayed out. He was the first man to stay out, and the gambles paid off. He's won the race. He's won a race for Red Bull. That is, it's a very, very weird visual, to be honest, seeing Hamilton in the Red Bull overalls winning a race. But there you go. That's the beauty of an alternate F1 timeline in the F1 game, and it's still a fantastic race for us, to be fair. Let's be real. Second place here, staying out on those Inters and just getting it to the end to still get a great podium. I'll take that. I'll take it.
And extending his already record-breaking winning record, it's Lewis Hamilton to the line for victory.
You always look back at a race like this and think, if I'd just made that mistake there or locked up here, there would have been contact. And every one of those overtakes is a moment where you have to absolutely nail it, perfect it, and that's exactly what they're able to do today. Great stuff indeed.
Here come today's winners. The team at Red Bull have done a phenomenal job recently, and it's clear to see that they've put in the work, and they should be so proud of the victory they've secured here.
And would you look at that, after that win is Lewis Hamilton on top for Red Bull Ford. That is going to take some getting used to, but it is amazing nonetheless. 7 points back is Leclerc, then 8 to myself. Russell, only 6 points on the board. Really need him to pick up the pace a little bit in the next couple of rounds, but it's a great race in the end. Really entertaining with the wet weather especially. Guys, if you have enjoyed it, hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.